Hey everybody, what's happening? Happy New Year. I am Steve from GraphicDesignerTips.com, welcoming you back to Logo Design Bootcamp, episode number 9. Now, if you're new to Logo Design Bootcamp, every week I design a new fictitious logo for you as a graphic artist to learn from and hopefully become better in the end. Each week we do little tips and tricks on different things in Adobe Illustrator. So let's jump into it. Part of my creative process is when it comes to inspiration, I do this stuff really quick. Basically, a couple hours ago, I had a quick idea because not only is it freezing out, it's January in New York and it's about 30 degrees out, but I love ice cream, so hey, you know what? I'll eat ice cream in the winter. It doesn't really matter to me. The logo you're going to learn from today is called Igloo Ices. It's a cool logo with basic fonts and just a couple little accents. It took a little bit of time to build, but it's something that, you know, if you build this, you'll learn little things to help you out in the future with other things. So let's jump into this. Let me critique this real quick, and then we'll jump into Adobe Illustrator and ultimately build this whole logo. Okay, so the Igloo Ices logo is a pretty basic logo. I used one simple font called Hoefler text. And for this font and the bottom font on here, it's just italics over here. What I wanted to depict, obviously, the word igloo. I tried to depict, at first, the other version of this logo really wasn't igloo. It was like this kind of fell into here, over on the right, and like, you know, the right blue was a smaller opening. But then, I decided to kind of separate them and make them their own. If you look, these are little like ice cream scoops, and although the cones are kind of off to one side, the reason I did that on the left and the right here was to make that real yogurt and ice cream center right in the middle and balance pretty well. I took off the dots on the eyes and put swirls because, you know, swirls and ice cream, they go together because that's something that happens when it comes out of the machine. And I also obviously color palette stayed with the blues, threw something else in there, the purple, and I graded the purple to the blue, as you can see in this swirl right here, right where it meets up in the middle, to also the real yogurt and ice cream. Also to note, under each letter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dips under here and 4 dips under the word ices. So just to keep it nice and clean and neat and, all uniform. So these are the little things that help in the end, although, somebody random is not going to not pick the product because, this I is a little bit lower than the C or the E and stuff like that. So, but that's what we came up with here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come and type the word igloo, and we're going to copy it over by hitting Option, click, Shift, and we're going to type in the word ices. Icea. Let's fix that. I'm going to hit Escape to get out of there. And we're going to select both of these, come up to Type, and go to Create Outlines, or Shift Option 0, or O, excuse me. So we have Igloo Ices, and we're going to come over to the Ellipse tool, and I do a lot of this in my tutorials using the Pathfinder. So we're going to make an ellipse and hold down Shift. If you don't, you're going to have this happen. So hold down Shift, and you're going to Option click, Shift down, but don't let go yet because you're going to see the guides on top of it. You're basically going to see where it's overlapping. So we're going to overlap those two right there. And we're going to select both of them now and come over to the Pathfinder and hit minus front. So now we got this is its own shape. All right. We're going to Option and we're going to drag that down. And and it copies it. And now I'm going to Option Shift click and a little bit lower than it to make a thinner version of it. I'm going to select both of those again, come to the Pathfinder, and click that. So I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, and I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to come to my Align tools, and I'm going to make sure the vertical line to the bottom, everything is lined up, and that is the first one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it like so over here. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to, well, actually, it's got to stretch out a little bit. Okay. I'm going to Option Shift click and do the same thing over here. And I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. And I'm going to squeeze it in. All right. So now we have the tops. Move that up a little bit. And we're going to make the bottom pieces now. And the way that you do that is the very same. Now, I'm going to fill these with black. And what I'm going to do is, later on we'll put some color in it. But I'm going to hit Option, click Shift 2. 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to select all 5 of these. I'm going to come to my align tools. I'm going to horizontally distribute them to the center points, just like that. And now I am going to select all these. I can even group them. Actually, no, I'm not going to group them. I'm going to hit Command C, which is copy, and Command F, which is paste in front. And I'm going to just nudge it up with the up arrow. Right. And I'm going to fill all these with white. And I'll tell you why I didn't group them. Because I'm going to take this left one over here, and with my direct selection, or my actually regular selection, and I'm just going to nudge it to the right so the curve comes around. And I'm just going to mess around with this a little bit. It's all experimentation. So, you know, this logo actually took me over an hour to produce, but I'm going to try to get this done in a 10-minute tutorial for you. That's what you'll learn over time. You know, it's a process. What I just did was I sent it to the back by coming to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. This whole selection. And I'm going to move that up right below that G. Okay. And we got Igloo. And now we're going to Option, click, and shift it over. And I'm going to... Actually, I'm going to flip this around. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here to the Reflect tool, or O on the keyboard. Click it, and you're going to click. And if you don't hit Shift, this is what's going to happen. So hold Shift, and it's going to flip around. All right, now I'm going to take this one on the end, these 2 circles, and I'm going to throw them out. I'm going to move everything over here. I'm just trying to get it how it was on mine. And you're going to have to mess around with a couple things. You see how this blue over here comes around, and it basically, it's more in front of the purple area on the other side. So the way that we do that, again, is we're going to make that circle smaller, kind of move things around a little bit. I'm going to space this word Ices out. I'm going to move it just a little bit more. That circle up. Okay, so now you're seeing how this is happening here. I still got a little of that black sticking out right there, so I'm just gonna hide that for now. When you're done with the logo in the end, that's when you refine it. That's when you start cutting things out. You know, a lot of times I'll hide like a white box over something just to visually see how it's gonna look, because you don't want to do all this refining work and then you realize you're not going to use the logo for anything. So that you wait to do that stuff at the end. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller and stretch it out just a little bit. Okay. Basically, these 2 little teardrop type things here, not teardrops, but they, you know, it's kind of like an ice cream droop. What you got to do is come to the pen tool, and we're going to just freehand draw it, or just like this. Okay. And we're going to kind of, we're going to fill it with black for now. And we're going to zoom in, and I'm going to hit E on my keyboard while I have it selected. It allows me to move it and do fun things with it. And I'm going to make this smaller. Okay. Obviously, my angles are off right now. There we go. You know, you can refine that by messing with the points with the direct selection, which is A on the keyboard. And you're going to do stuff like this. Pull the points in. Try to contour that line that's coming down. You want to make it believable that it's a part of the whole selection. If you have to add points, if you have to delete points, like for instance, you see this part right here, we're going to hide that behind it just temporarily, which in turn actually messes with the whole selection. All right. There we go. No, that's not. There we go. What I would do here is I would take the pen tool, I would make a box, and I would select this area, and I would just minus the front. So now that little area just disappeared. If I move this little thing, that's where the top of that box I just made was. So it's basically cutting elements out. Picture it just like that. So we're going to copy this over here, make this a little bit smaller, just kind of fudge it for right now. You know, these tutorials, if you just to get your brain rolling a little bit with these ideas on how things are put together, it's really for you to figure out, you know, spend that extra 50 to 45 or 50, you know, whatever amount of minutes, and don't get discouraged, because, you know, in the end, you'll feel more happy with your logo that looks, you know, like this, as opposed to something that might be a little bit messy and not unrefined. You know, it's the best feeling when you get it to that point where you know you gave it everything, you left it all out on the canvas, and when your client sees it, they're super happy. And then you get paid, which is pretty cool too. So Igloo Ices, let's see, what do we got to do next? All right, we're going to now incorporate these swirls, which is a new thing I haven't taught in any tutorial, but you're going to come up to the line segment tool, which is default. It's under the pen. Click, hold it down, and we're going to hit the spiral tool. And if you click on the keyboard, you're going to see a couple things. You got the radius, the decay, the segments. You want to have a lot of segments. A lot of segments is going to make it continue to swirl into the middle. Let's see something that has 5 segments. All right? Make that a little bit larger. That's all it gives you. We're going to put a little thing on here. Let me get it off AIM because it's really loud. All right, so if I put a stroke on there, you're seeing, oh, there's my 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it looks like there's 6 points. But we're going to come back to the spiral tool, and we're going to go back to like 40 points, all right? You mess around with the radius and the decay, you'll see what it does. It's different things that happen there. We're going to zoom up there, and I'm going to put this a couple points. And obviously this is different than the swirl that I had, but you know, mess around, see what you can come up with. And I'm going to add some weight to this, and I got a different swirl. So basically, all right, what I didn't do is I have to take these O's off the top, these little dots on the eyes, and I'm going to replace this area with this right here, okay, the swirl. And the way that I did it on the bottom, if you see that, you know, obviously the coils are further apart and stuff like that, but if you see that, you know, I kind of had it where it flows kind of into here. Same deal with this. It goes around and flows right into the bottom of that ice cream scoop. So it's just, you know, a little accent that I wanted to add into it. And I don't like this. There are too many points. So I'm going to start deleting some by hitting the direct selection. I'm going to move this over so I don't delete anything else. And I'm going to go like this. 1, 2. All right, that's good enough for what I'm trying to do at least. I'm going to overlay this, and if you see, this little point is still behind here, and when I said before that I like to hide things and then refine them at the end, this is all you have to do that. All right, this will help you in the end. All right, click and make a box around that point that's sticking out from the back. And we're going to create a box, and we're going to fill it with white, and we're going to take the stroke off of it, and we're going to send it to the back by going to Object, Arrange, Send it back, Shift Command, Open Bracket. And now we're going to do the same thing with this. So Shift Command, Open Bracket. And it just put it behind. Look, I'm going to undo it and redo it by hitting Command Z and then going forward. So you see how it's really back there. It's still back there. It's just hiding behind that white box. So let's see. You know, if you did not get that, you see if I just move that box over, it's still there. I'm telling you, refine your stuff at the end. You'll save so much time. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the swirl and that white box. I'm going to copy it over. And I'm going to lay it right over here on top of that other one. And in this case, I'm going to have to make that white box bigger because I got this problem going on over here with this going through. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to add, by hitting the plus sign on the keyboard, I'm going to add a point here, a point here, and a point here. Now, just so you know, this isn't maybe this wasn't the way that I did it because there are a lot of different ways. I could have made a circle instead of this box, but the fact that you're learning to add points on a line segment right now and manipulate them, that's what this tutorial is all about. Figuring out different ways, and even if you never use the ways, just knowing that you can do them like that. So now that we made those extra points, I'm going to pull those points till it goes right over here, and you see how it's covering up that? Now, if you're getting confused on why that is, and I can understand that if you're new at graphic design, I'm going to do something real quick. Let's add some orange in there, and I'm going to turn these into magenta, and I'm going to take this swirl. I'm going to leave it black. So if you see what's going on here is basically, I'm just kind of showing you how this is constructed. We got these in magenta over here. This box is just hiding right on top of it. It was white before, now it's orange, so you can see it. So we're going to turn it back white, and we're going to turn these back black. All right, that's how that is worked. And we got Igloo Ices. We're going to now, we're going to make a triangle, and well, we're going to make a rectangle, but we're going to make a triangle after we make the rectangle. And this is how I like to make my triangles, to tell you the truth. I like to make a square and hold shift at the same time. And you see this point in the middle, this little green point? That's showing the center point. So I'm going to add a point by hitting the plus sign. I'm going to hit plus. It's adding a point right there. And now I'm going to hit minus. I'm going to minus the points from the side. And voila, I got my triangle. I'm going to move that up. I'm going to make sure where that curve comes around, that's kind of where it starts. And I'm going to fill that with what else but black for right now. And I am going to option click, move this over to the other side, so I have one over here also. And basically we're gonna put these white actually what I originally did was I just put boxes like this and I filled them with white to visually see how it would look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to distribute them evenly on the vertical distribute center tool. All right, and it makes it look like that. And later on, like I said, you can refine it. What you have to do is individually go over each one with the Pathfinder, the minus the front. So when you get time, you got to do that on your own, of course. And we're going to type in real yogurt ampersand and ice cream. All right, we're going to make that bigger. We're going to change it to that font, and we're going to make it italics. And what I also like to do is, I mean, you don't gotta fill every space with. I mean, when you're trying to fill a space, you can do some creative things with text. What you can do is you can make the text really small, and you can add tracking to it. So you add tracking to it by coming up here, and let's add 200 tracking. It adds space after each letter, which is really cool because you can, if you're trying to line up a tagline with something else, a name of a logo, you can track it out and it's still going to look cool and it's going to be readable. Just, make sure the points that when you're printing, a specific point size, you're not too small. You can always print out a copy just to make sure you didn't do it too small. Last thing, we're going to come over to the line segment. Well, actually not last thing, but we're going to make 2 lines here. Going to fill it with black, and we're going to make it a little bit thicker, and we're going to option shift click shift, whatever, and we're going to make that bigger, and it kind of contains it in there. Now it's up to you to play with it, personalize it, add some character style to it. Do whatever you want with the colors. I mean, you can, what I did in here was I took a dark gradient to a light gradient. So, you can do like a blue. You can pull that, just kind of like this. Gradients are my specialty. That's what I love to do. And that's how you build the Igloo Ices. If you're at this point in the tutorial already and you didn't fall asleep, thank you very much. But no, seriously, if you're at this point in the tutorial, I advise you to continue to play with this logo, see what you can come up with, because it's just another thing for you to learn from. So that's it on this logo. All right, so I hope you learned something again. Of course, this is Steve Looney from GraphicDesignerTips.com. If you like what you saw, leave your comments below. Please like this video, very important, and share us out on your social networks. But more importantly, if you want to subscribe to this series or my channel, hit this button right here, click it on your screen. It will subscribe you to our channel. We come out with these videos weekly, so stay tuned and have a good night. Peace.